Focus on love. Love what's in focus. Aim for above because the ceiling's bogus. Focus on love. Love what's in focus. Aim for above because the ceiling is bogus. Focus on love. Love what's in focus. Aim for above because the ceiling. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Famous Rapper Convos, the show where we help music artists introduce themselves to new fans and supporters. Today, we are meeting a very special guest. I'm very excited about this. We have Nathan Oglesby here, aka Sir Nate, aka Professor Nate, aka Nathanology.
Thanks for having me, David. Pleasure to be here.
You want to give a quick, like, 2-sentence intro?
So I'm Nathan. You can find all my creations under the name Nathanology. My full name is Nathan Dufour Oglesby. I've had a lot of names going on recently in the recent past. Yeah, I've been Sir Nate, I've been Professor Nate. Yeah, Nathanology is becoming the bucket into which all of these things fall. And I'm happy to be here. I'm now, because I hadn't connected the dots, David, because I'd been connected with you for a while. And then the Famous Rappers account was like blowing up my spot yesterday, and I hadn't even realized that the two, you know what I mean? Like now I understand.
Yeah. This is it. That was me trying to welcome you to
cool. Well, the welcome
to the network.
Yeah. Glad to be here. How long have you been doing this show?
This is there's 22 episodes out. I think 3 unreleased. So this is 26, and you divide that by 4, and then that would be 6 months almost.
Okay, cool. So yeah, you got some momentum.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. It's been a lot of fun meeting a lot of great people. All right. So Nathanology. I like that name. So let's go with that.
All right, let's do it.
So the first question I always ask is, in about 3 minutes, touching on a few milestones and the paths you took to reach them, like what's your full story as an artist? Like starting with how did you get started with music and how did you get to where you are today?
So my 3-minute artist story, clock starting at 4:38 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I started making music when I was 15. I got into like punk type stuff early on, and I was playing in a band called Finger Teeth Teddy Officer, complicated name. And then I got into folk music. That was my first deep passion. I got really into Bob Dylan. And then I got really into Woody Guthrie and Ramblin' Jack Elliott and Leadbelly and Pete Seeger, and just kind of like the Americana, like folk tradition and singer-songwriter tradition. I was obsessed with that for many years. And my songs started to have fewer and fewer chords and more words. And around the same time I was getting into hip hop, I got into Public Enemy. Just sort of, I think, through the connection of sort of like protest music or music as a vehicle for message and having the message be right up front. And that's what got me into hip hop. And then I sort of started rapping almost just for practical purposes, just so I had even fewer words to worry about. And it was just like really simple beats and stuff like that I was making in my room. And that sort of gathered momentum, and I started going by Sir Nate. That brought me from Bellingham, Washington, where I went to college. I'm from Washington State, and that brought me to New York City. And I continued making music there, and it evolved into many different things. Along the way, I also got a degree. I got my doctorate in classics while I was in New York. That was kind of the excuse. Like I came to New York ostensibly to get this degree, mainly to do music, and to pursue this person that I'm no longer dating, and remained even after that ended. And so kept making music. And then after doing that for a while, linked up with my friend Hilla the Killa, and we started making music as Nate and Hilla. Now I perform a lot at House of Yes, which is a club in Brooklyn. Although, now nobody performs publicly in Brooklyn, but I used to, and I hope to again one day. And that's been kind of my bread and butter. So I've been here like doing rap music and hanging out and that kind of thing. And as I progressed, like, the academic side of things and the music side of things, they kind of melded. So like my music is very academically inflected, I guess, or philosophically inflected, educational oftentimes. So that's
totally. Yeah.
Okay. So I think I did that in 2. That was 2 minutes. Nice.
Efficiency right there.
Oh, and then to bring in the other link of the story, the reason that I'm here. So you sent me, like, you were on my Instagram, you sent me a message or something like that. I was camping at the time. I wasn't on mushrooms, but my friends were on mushrooms because I wasn't taking it for another reason, another story. But I was drunk, and like I was in a van like that we were camping out of, and then I was like listening to your freestyles and stuff, and I was like, who is this guy? It was like a very strange mystical thing because I was just in the wilderness and then like, David Pro Rock, rapping his face off in my phone. And now
That's
here I am.
hilarious. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I've been following you for a while. I think like a couple years maybe.
Oh wow. Okay, cool.
Checking you out on Instagram and YouTube. But honestly, I never really like went that deep into it. Like I saw your videos popping up in my feed. And then before this, I started checking out like all your videos, and the stuff that you made last year, I was very impressed by. Like
Thanks.
all those different etymologies, Nathanologies, all of that. Well, so like could you maybe tell me like the story of your content creation of just the last year?
Yeah, I think in the last year, my whole artistic career has been a long, slow, very stubborn realization that it ain't like I envisioned it would be. You know what I mean? Like all I ever wanted to do was just make songs that were densely lyrical and have the world think I was a genius. That's all I ever wanted. Simple dream, right? And
Yeah.
then I discovered of late that it doesn't work quite as simply as that. You kind of got to put in some other elbow grease. And so I got into making lyric videos and really finding ways to illustrate my words, because my words are really dense sometimes. And but in doing that, I discovered that it like actually it was a more total art. The one of my favorite artists or just creators of all time is William Blake. And William Blake, like we remember him for his poetry, but he created these illuminated books where he would do these engravings, metal engravings, and then fill them with color and print his own stuff because he wasn't really recognized substantially in his time. He would just sell these little books that he made out of his bookshop. And now when I'm making a video with all of these, like, because I really animate the lyrics as much as I can and do rudimentary animations to sort of make it so the song and the musicality of it and the lyricism and the visuals, they all meld together so that it's like the shape of a thought, like in multi-dimensional form, in that Blakean sense of like bringing it all into real life. And so now that's kind of what I'm about. And I've embraced the video part of it, and it sure works a lot. I mean, I certainly haven't like, broken the internet yet, but you found me at least. And so it's been paying off at least to create that synthesis.
Yeah, totally. I think you did a great job. And I think it could happen like pretty soon, honestly. Like your stuff is very engaging. So like when I was watching it, I wanted to like hear the whole thing, which is awesome. And the visuals like fit the music so well. And like I also really like the way that you've developed your like personal branding, I guess, of being like a professor and then like very like, just telling it how it is, I guess, in a sense. And all of that comes together to like this like awesome image, and I love it.
Thanks, David. I appreciate that a great deal. Makes me feel good.
Yeah, you're welcome. Cool. So the next question is, thinking ahead like 12 months from now, where do you see yourself and what are your next steps that you plan on taking to get there?
That is a really good question. The aim is to increase my visibility on the different platforms. YouTube is like I care about my YouTube. Instagram, it's okay. But it's not my favorite neighborhood just in terms of like the vibration of it. YouTube, I feel like I'm able to curate something, and I really just want to build up my subscriber count, not just for like ego validation purposes, but I really feel that as you say, like it feels imminent. It feels like it could happen. I'm bound and determined to make it happen. So I want to build that audience. That's one thing. And then I also, and this is not just me, but also with my collaborator Hilla, with whom I perform as Nathan Hilla, she and we want to create like a show. I don't know where the show goes just yet, like if it's like Netflix or something like that, but something that brings together like comedy and music and hip hop and philosophy and education and sort of like a really goofy but very soulful like Sesame Street for all ages, with rhymes and deep thought and color and sketches and stuff like that. That's kind of like the end game, because along the lines of what I was saying earlier, I'm realizing now that I'm not just a rapper, and it's been very liberating to realize that like it's all the different titles just hang from this like this more complex essence.
Yeah, that sounds great. So you are trying to build subscribers on YouTube and also working on a show.
Yeah, like sort of it's
actively.
in its primordial ooze phase right now. We're sort of trying to develop the connections that can get us where we need to get to do that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So that actually leads me to my next question, which is, so like imagine you had a magic wand that could recruit any one person onto your team describe the person that you would want to attract and why.
This is the greatest show. I love this show. Like, your questions are amazing.
Thanks.
um, they're very like, because I feel like anything that is in the form of an interview show, rarely are its questions in the service of the person being interviewed. They're in the service typically of the audience that has their prying curiosity for whatever their reasons are. But you're asking questions that are actually helpful for me, which is nice and refreshing.
Thanks.
I say that as though I do like tons of interviews, which is an exaggeration, I was interviewed, like I made friends with this kid, Nia, who's a rapper. I'll send you his stuff. He's a talented guy. And he interviewed me on his podcast, and he's in Germany. And like, he was asking some funny questions. He was like, no offense, but do you ever worry that you won't make it? And I was like, damn, dude, that's quite a question. He had a whole different, like, anyway,
yeah.
Who would I recruit? God, I should have a more tangible answer to this, and I should just tweet at them and like get them on my side somehow. Okay, I'm just going to pluck a name out, not because I think that this person could single-handedly transform my life, but my benchmark for getting where I want to be is I want to be friends with Open Mike Eagle. 2 reasons. 1, because Open Mike Eagle is one of my favorite rappers. 2, because he's in the echelon of rap discourse that I want to participate in the most. And 3, because I met him when I had just started rapping, when he was on tour in Bellingham, and his career had just begun, really. He was on tour with Bus Driver. This is like 7 years ago or something like that. And I just started spitting, and I didn't have anything or anything. You know what I mean? I couldn't freestyle. I barely started writing. But he and Bus Driver were getting into their minivan to drive away after we like had some drinks at this bar. He wouldn't remember this probably, but I was like, I will meet you again. My name is Nathan. And Bus Driver, whose voice is as deep in conversation as it is like, on record. Like, he was like, okay, Nathan, that sounds good. Like, it's like it sounded all Bus Drivery. And then away they rode, Mike and Bus Driver, into the distance. And so I would like to fulfill that vow. It's not quite a direct answer to your question, because you're asking who could help, but I'm just saying that's my benchmark.
Okay. Yeah. That's good. That's a good answer. Yeah. Appreciate the thought that you put into that one. Open Mike Eagle. I don't know if I've heard of this person.
Oh,
before.
You were gonna love Open Mike Eagle, man. So he actually, I don't know if first person ever do it, but he sort of coined the phrase art rap as a way to describe like unabashedly poetically driven rap. So like Milo, Open Mike Eagle's from the like LA like Good Life Cafe like set, like Freestyle Fellowship is from the same sort of the artsy LA hip hop scene rather than the New York one or any of the other cities. Mm-hmm. And he's just amazing. I mean, like you should check him out. I think your style, I can't imagine you not loving him a good deal. So
okay, totally. I always like finding new music, so that's great. I will definitely do that. Nice. So I want to talk a little bit about your process. So when it comes to like creating these etymologies and these videos you've been creating, and I think I read that you plan on doing this more consistently in 2021.
Yeah. I'm trying to keep to a schedule.
Yeah. So like, what does that schedule look like? And like, what's your process like for creating your art?
Man, I've been trying to stick to a more rigorous releasing schedule than I had in the past. And it has been a challenge, like just to pump these things out, like, because the etymologies don't take that long to do. I mean, I can shoot a bunch of them all at once, but then editing them takes a long time. To edit with care is just a really time-consuming thing. And then to also start doing it both horizontal and vertical to try and like take advantage of Reels and TikTok. It's like as soon as you start playing the game, this is the troubling thing. Like the platforms are designed in such a way that to thrive on them, you have to give almost your entire self to play on their terms. It's rather like a sport in the sense that not just the game, but the idiosyncrasies and conventions of the league begin to dominate your psyche. And that's the thing that troubles me a little bit, because it's like, it's not just an open-ended platform where everything that you make can just like flourish and flower for those who may seek to find it, but rather you have to really sort of follow these strictures. And so that's one of the things I'm realizing that's been troubling me a bit, because I have seen results from the consistency, but it's also like, my energy is like, I'm stretched pretty thin right now. And I haven't had time to just like write poetry as poet. You know what I mean? Like I've just been like churning out videos and like just trying to, and really honestly, to sum it all up, the process, the compulsion of the platforms makes it so quantity is honored over quality, and that troubles me, and it's something I'm struggling with a little bit right now. But suffice to say, hoping to find a flow. But yeah, the process is for the etymologies anyway. I just write a bunch because I my training is in the classical languages and Latin and Greek, so like I have a little bit of know-how in that regard, and then we shoot a bunch, and then I edit them up. That's pretty much the flow of things.
So you pick a word, you write about the word, you record the vocals.
That's what I did originally. No, it's all performed live. Like I write it, and then I like just blow it up on my computer as big as I can and put it behind the camera. And then Hilla, my collaborator, puts on a morph suit. You ever done any green screen stuff?
Never.
Okay, so if you have a green screen, it keys out anything that's green once you are editing. So she puts on this all green suit. You should see her. She looks so cute. Like it's like this full green bodysuit with a green mask, no eye holes or anything, but she can see through it. And then she'll like make objects come to me by like, just bringing them over. But then when we edit it, it looks like the coffee cups flying around or whatever. And so, so that's how that's done. Yeah.
And so you're writing and recording all in this green screen room, all at once?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, I'll write it wherever, you know what I mean? As far as choosing the words, I guess I should explain what an etymology is. So etymology is where you analyze the origin of a word. The word regal comes from the Latin rex, regis, which means king, et cetera, et cetera. And then you go deeper than that. The r sound is common to other Indo-European languages, et cetera, et cetera. The choice of words, originally I was just choosing stuff that seemed topical, but recently I've been asking for people for suggestions and gotten some great suggestions. So the crowdsourced ones are coming up in the next sort of round. Any suggestions? What word do you think there should be?
Ooh, meditation.
Meditation. That's all right. I'm writing it down.
Nice. I was just checking out rapguides.com/lesson. And then it said like 10 steps to write your own etymology. And then I was going to do one for meditation.
Wait, you were looking up Rap Guide like Baba Brinkman's Rap Guide?
Mm-hmm.
All right. So have you interviewed Baba before? Do you know Baba?
No, I just found it through like researching you this morning.
Ah, nice. Yeah. No, Baba has made a career out of doing like what I am doing now, except a little bit more concertedly. So like he does like very explicitly like educational hip hop, you know what I mean? Like, and he's made a career doing like he has this one-man show. He has several one-man shows that he does that are like all on like neuroscience, and it's like a full-on musical, just him, explaining this or that scientific thing as a rapper. And he's a truly gifted individual, that guy. You should interview him. I'll link you up with him.
Ooh, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to. Cool. So Nathan, I'm moving on to the next segment of the show.
Great.
I've never done this one before, but I'm going to make this a quick activity where I ask you a question and you give me 3 things.
Okay.
So I'm going to say, what are 3 things that you learned from comic books?
How to express myself with philosophical precision, and that's Calvin and Hobbes. There's no greater influence on me than Calvin and Hobbes.
Ooh.
If it wasn't for the way that Calvin talks, I wouldn't even be interested in philosophy or anything. That's the crux. So that's one thing. Boy, 3 things that I've learned from comic books. How to make text come alive visually. How text is part of the painting. That's 2. And the third thing would be, those 2 are good. There's got to be a third one that is the tantamount to the excellence of those responses. The third, because I don't actually read that much comic books either. That's the thing. Oh, the third thing would be the possibility of creating a pluralistic monomyth for all world religions. I say that because one of my favorite comic books that I have read is called Forming by Jesse Moynihan. You ever heard Jesse Moynihan?
Mm-mm.
He's I think he's one of the guys who does some of the animation for Adventure Time. You know Adventure Time?
Yes.
And Forming is like this thing where he just creates this super irreverent but also very soulful mashup of all the major world religions. Like he's got figures from Judaism in there. He's got figures from like Zoroastrianism, just everything, and Greco-Roman myth, just all sort of in this swirling, strange, madcap adventure about the creation of the universe. And it is truly profound. So it got my mind turning about how exploring religious pluralism and mythic pluralism is like, it's high time that the world does that in a really concerted way. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I'll have to check that out. That sounds awesome.
I feel like this is
Cool.
just like the Nathan Oglesby suggestion hour. Like,
Yeah, no, I mean, I love it like that, honestly. Like people give me stuff to check out, and then I never run out of interesting
yeah, it's a good way to go
things.
about it.
Yeah. Cool. So Nathan, what are 3 of your favorite words?
3 of my favorite words. David, you really know how to craft a question. Infinite. Love the word infinite because it's easy to rhyme with, and it's the infinite, the boundless, from which we come and to which we return. This is going to sound, self-absorbed, but the word Nathan is a Hebrew expression, just a verb form, Natan, he gave. And I like that. I like the idea because I've been trying to dissolve my selfhood at the same time as brand myself, like find a way to because branding yourself is dangerous for your selfhood. You're literally becoming at yourself. And it's like you end up being in this sort of like echo chamber of your own being, constantly looking at yourself. But I'm trying to use the notion of my name as gift to have it be like, it's not me, you know what I mean? It's not about me. This is just, I'm just the fulcrum through which this process of transmission moves, without getting too theological about it, or maybe getting too theological about it. Yeah. And then lastly, okay, this is a Greek word. I'm not trying to get all fancy here. I'm not trying to touch different languages for the hell of it, but kairos, you know the word kairos? It's like a word that, you know this word?
I think it's a city, an island, and also some kind of Greek god.
It's not a Greek god, but it's a Greek word that shows up in the New Testament, but it also shows up in ancient Greek. In ancient Greek, prior to the New Testament is in ancient Greek, but in pre-Christian ancient Greek, it means the exact right moment for something to happen, like the perfect moment. Mm-hmm. Then that word gets sort of adopted by Christian theology as well for the moment of grace, but it can apply just in any sense, just like the moment hitting the kairos. It's like the images of a bullseye, but a spatio-temporal bullseye, when just the synchronicity happens,
Awesome. So infinite, Nathan, and kairos.
Yeah.
All right. Can you drop a freestyle?
Yeah, dude, this is an amazing activity.
All right, Nathan, let's hear a freestyle using those 3 words.
Okay. All right. We're rocking out right now. Nathan and David spitting it. I also want to hear from him going on and on, infinite. Off at the top, when I'm dropping these rhyme flows, keeping it Nathanologic, hitting it right upon the kairos, like hitting it right upon my nose, swinging with a left hook. And now for my next trick, you should read my next book. Infinite pages, all of infinity. I'm glad that David invited me to spit a free. This is he, and this is me, connected on the Zoom. There is no beat, but I love the bap boom. I love the boom bap, the kairos, the Greek. Right now, coming through the iPhone speak, coming through the earbuds, chilling with my weird bud. Here's another word, around the corner, here it comes. Alive and in the moment of creation, infinite kairos, poems by Nathan.
Oh my God. That was the best thing I've ever heard. Wow.
Yo, I love your flow is amazing too. So it'd be cool to hear you rap too. Do you rap on the show typically?
No, I never have before. I tried to have someone freestyle before using a beat, but then the technology didn't work out, and then I didn't test it since then.
I'm actually kind of glad it was without. Is actually there's something cool about the nakedness of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Plus, it's different than other hip hop shows where it's like freestyling to a beat is sort of the typical thing, but the no beat, it's a different thing, more intimate.
Yeah, totally.
So, but I would I feel like there's a collaboration in our future or something, because your style is there's something kindred about our styles. You're very freaky, you know what I mean? You're very spontaneous. I mean, one inherently is when one's freestyling, but there's something about you.
Yeah, I've been practicing. I just want to let it all go, whatever it is that I'm feeling. I just try to convert that to flow, and just do things. I also think one of the problem, it's kind of a problem, is that I freestyle on Discord a lot. And then so I hear people freestyle and it's not always aligned to the beat. And I actually think that kind of influences the way that I rap, but I kind of like it though.
Wow, dude, you're the most 2020, rapper that there could possibly be. Your style has been affected by the technological contingent factors of how we communicate right now.
Totally. Have you freestyled on Discord?
No, I never have. No, I mean, like I actually just used Discord for the first time the other day for a different interview, but I've never gotten into it. Is it like there's a whole Discord rap community going on or something?
Yeah, there's several. So you can freestyle in any Discord channel. You just have a bot, and then you say like play a big L type beat, and then it'll start playing it, and then you're in a voice chat. So then you can just freestyle on it.
But
There's
how do
some
other people like find you? Like you just start rapping, and then other people like can see that you're rapping somehow, and then they join.
Yes. So there's communities specifically for it. There's one called Royal Music Community. This is like the biggest one, I think. And then there's like always like 10, 20 people in there 24/7 freestyling. So you can jump into a cipher like literally anytime. And then there's other ones, like there's a Harry Mack Discord channel. And also there's like a hip hop Discord channel that's like sponsored by Discord in some way. And then for those ones, there's not always freestyles, but if you go in there and you start like messaging the bot, then people get notifications, and then they can see and then join in.
Do people battle, or is it mostly like congenial cipher style? You know, or is it? I guess a
I
mix of
haven't
both,
seen any battles.
One thing that I was going to ask you is oh, where are you even based? Where are you?
I live in Oakland,
In Oakland? No kidding.
California.
Okay, cool. Right.
Yeah.
I've heard of it. I wanted to know if you would be interested maybe in checking out EO Dub. So EO Dub, just to like rep, you know, some of the New York like hip hop family that I'm connected to. End of the Week, WEAK, and they are this community that is particularly known for their open mic that they had going and still have going, and their thing called the MC Challenge, which is like a 5-tool rap challenge contest where there's like a round where you do a freestyle grab bag, there's a round where you do a written, a round where you do an acapella, a round where you do a beat juggle, and a round where you do a cipher. Anyway, they've continued it in Zoom form, and they have this Zoom that is always running. There's always a show happening. Either it's like freestyle time, or it's like, and many people can join it. You can also like stream it and stuff like that. But I wanted to tell you about it and like invite you to get in the mix, because I feel like you would gel with a lot of those cats just because of your passion, you know what I mean, and your love for it. I think you would connect with them.
Mm-hmm. Totally. Yeah. I'm always looking for stuff like that. I actually had one of the questions I was going to ask is like, what are some online rap communities that you're excited by?
Yeah, that is like that's been the home, just because it was like also one of my senses of like, you know, home communities, you know, here in New York before the pandemic. So it's evolved into that. One of the founders, this MC and mentor named Vice Versus, passed away early on in the pandemic, and the Zoom was sort of like his memorial, but the memorial sprawled into it being just this ongoing community center, essentially, you know. And that crew is like, it really is like hip hop as community. Like it's like, it's all the things. It's church, social club, like, you know, venue vibe all mixed into one. So
yeah, that's awesome. Please send me the link.
Totally.
Nice. And then I saw that you went on Props with David
Oh yeah,
Bradshaw.
you know BS?
I'm actually interviewing him tomorrow morning.
That's amazing.
Yeah, coincidentally. I didn't even know you guys knew each other, but I saw on your Instagram that you were on that.
Yeah, BS is like, he is one of my oldest like rap buddies in New York. Okay, so I met him when I hadn't lived here for very long, and I was writing for a long time before I was freestyling. I didn't really get into freestyling until the last, like, you know, maybe like 4 or 5 years, and before that I was just writing. And that didn't stop me from like entering this thing called Freestyle Mondays, which is another like also another great online thing. I don't know if they're on hiatus right now, but they're still kicking it in pandemic era. But I met BS, and like I went up to do, it's like a battle show, but you get assigned like a role. Like you're not just like dissing the other person's clothes or something like that. Like I think I was the Urban Jungle, and my opponent, Daron Lev, who's a really great rapper, was the actual jungle. It was like, you know, a face off between these abstract forces, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I got so destroyed that it was like a clean kill. It was like having like your head chopped off and then like land perfectly on your neck. You know what I mean? Like you don't realize you're dead until like you like actually fall apart, type of thing. Because I didn't know how to do it either. You know what I mean? Like I like didn't have the toolbox as an improviser at that time. and BS was there, and I was like so ashamed of how badly it had gone. I was kind of ready to like turn tail and just like get the fuck out of that venue, you know what I mean? But BS was super cool, and like we like had a beer together, and like I don't know if he won that night, but he's definitely won Freestyle Mondays before, I think, like because he's been a really great MC for a long time. Anyway, that's how I met him. So I'll always associate him with the kindness he showed me in that regard. And then he invented this show. So you should be on props, I feel like, you know?
Yeah, I think I will be sometime in the future. We
It's a
talked about it.
cool program.
Yeah, nice. So Nathan, a question I like to ask people is, if you could teach everyone in the world one concept, what would it be?
I think it would be the art of recognizing the possibility of the compresence of opposites. By what I mean by that is that two things can be, or something can be simultaneously true and not true, depending on your perspective, or just depending on how the expression that is in question is structured, and things that appear to be opposite can truly dwell together. Therefore, even our most diametrically opposed opinions about the most deep-seated important things can still provide ample space for mutual love and cooperation. And realizing that it requires a lot of nuance and subtlety, but I think people have the capacity for it more than they're given credit for, you know what I mean? It's like such a common maxim that like people are not very apt to understand subtlety, but they are, you know what I mean? You just got to seduce them into it, you know, which is what I think art is about. That's what I want to do with my art, is like create a lure to nuance, you know, because it's tastier, it's more fun, it's sexy and cool to like really understand the contours of a thought and understand how the facts and the truth, you know what I mean, are like complementary, not the same. You know, myth and fact are complementary parts of the same whole. I feel like I gave you more than one answer there, but they're loosely connected.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Yeah, I feel like I learned something.
Cool. Doing my job.
Nice. Wait, so are you a teacher full time?
I am, well, not full time now. I mean, for a little while, my income has been like sort of split between doing like custom videos, especially with Hilla, and doing teaching. So it's like sort of been a mix of the two. Right now, the video stuff is pretty dry, but hopefully it'll pick up again soon. But the next semester just started, so that's fine. But yeah, I teach Latin at a city college, so or through city college on Zoom is how it happens now. But
nice. And that's just like when the class is going on, you do that, get paid for it, but then it's not year round.
Well, no, I mean, it's year round in the sense that it's every semester, but then there's long breaks in between. So like a new semester just started. The last one had ended like at the end of December. So I had almost all of January off. It's a good job though. I mean, teaching is great. And like, I mean, depends on what you're teaching too. Cause like you usually in the past I've taught like classical myth or like Greek civilization, stuff like that. And that's a great job, but it takes a lot of preparation. Like teaching is like playing a show. Like, have you ever done any teaching before? Like it's similarly structured when you're doing a lecture, because you got to make your set list, you know what I mean? And that takes a lot of care, and you got to be like really up on everything. Teaching Latin, I much prefer for my flow of life, because like, you know, you just either know the language or you don't. You assign the reading and then you get in there and you translate. It's like a more minimal preparation. So
that makes sense. I only taught like one thing, and it was like engineering learning. I was a senior in a freshman engineering class, like helping them get accustomed to the
nice
school. Yeah,
that's cool. How do you make your money? Like, are you like what's your source of income?
Yeah, so right now I don't make any money.
Okay.
But I'm trying to. I'm a former Facebook software engineer. So I did that for like 2.5 years, basically saved a bunch of money. And then now I'm just trying to like do something new and like build a business, but I'm really bad at it. So I've been doing it for like almost a year. In 4 days, it'll be my 1-year anniversary, and I still don't really make money. So I'm trying to like figure out what that could look like, where it's like something that can support me while I continue to do like this show and rapping, making music and stuff.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's a tough road to like figure out a way to transmute creative things into income in a quick way, but it is certainly not impossible. I mean, it's doable, you know.
Nice. So, if 1 million people only watched one of your videos, which one would you want them to see?
Man, your questions are just extraordinary.
Thanks.
Probably okay. I can narrow it down to two. It would either be one that's called an introduction to critical theory for the 21st century, or one called This and That, a song of contradictory arguments. The latter is kind of along the lines of what I was saying about trying to find toleration through realizing the limits of our ability to express the truth in the first place, and discover that there's two sides to every coin, not just experientially, but logically. That said, I think for the present moment, the critical theory song, like I really believe in its message, because it's really about the critique of capitalism and how that language of that critique has now been mobilized both for those who are still against capitalism and those who are for it, and the vast relativism that opens up when we start to recognize how much power ideologies have. And I think if we can all get to the level of understanding the power that ideologies have, we can start to have a conversation. But where we're at right now is very much a position where we know that we're exposed, but we're all constantly buffeted by them. You know what I mean? Like I myself feel, when I say being buffeted by ideologies, I mean just realizing that your thoughts are not your own, but your thoughts are communal in nature. And so the feeds that you have of different sources of information and constructions of reality really do run the show. And in this era of being inside more than ever and being more focused on social media for the sake of my career, like I can see my own brain being warped. You know what I mean? I can feel the manipulation happening moment by moment. I can feel the growing pains of mutating into like a creature that's different than I was, you know, before I exposed myself to that stuff. And so it's kind of the mark that I'm trying to hit with that song. So feels urgent.
Yeah, cool. That's a good one. I listened to that. I was very, very impressed. And also with all the social media stuff, like everybody's trying to be an influencer, which like basically is like trying to influence people. So like that's it's their goal.
Yeah, it's almost nauseating after a certain point, isn't it? But then the other, like I go back and forth. There's some days where I feel nauseated by everybody's self-branding, including my own, and my own most of all. Like it really creates this feeling of revulsion. And then there's other days where looking at the exact same phenomenon, I feel like it's almost like this garden springing up of like self-conscious flowers, and realizing that it does matter how we present ourselves and to curate our presentation to the world. And there's a healthy, almost botanical thing going on at the same time. So I don't know. I probably just better to walk on the sunny side and focus on the good.
True. And you're crushing it in that regard. I think the way you're presenting yourself, I love it. So my next question, I have two left. So number one is, what are two albums? Well, first I want to say, do you listen to albums or mostly just like songs and playlists?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm happiest, I'm listening to albums. I mean, that's my preferred way of intake.
Okay, yeah, me too. So what are two albums that I probably haven't heard, but I should listen to?
Okay. I mean, I don't know do you know Freestyle Fellowship?
Yeah, I heard that one.
Okay. So, well, I was going to say Freestyle Fellowship's Inner City Griots is like one of my favorite albums. Usually when I get a question like this, that's one of my responses.
I'll count it.
That you haven't heard of, though. That's the tricky thing. This is way out of left field, but maybe you haven't heard of it. Do you know the Pogues? They're like an Irish band from like the 80s that had like, it was like traditional Irish music, but mad punky. And I don't know, it's just some of my favorite music in the world. So the album Rum, Sodomy, and the Lash.
Rum, Sodomy, and the Lash.
Yeah, it's a great album by the Pogues. Yeah. I bet you'll dig it. It's good.
Nice. Yeah, that sounds awesome. That's the kind of answer I'm looking for. And cool. The Freestyle Fellowship, Inner City Griot. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Inner City Griots. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, cool. And then the last question. Based on your research and personal experience, what would you say is the secret to becoming a famous rapper?
I mean, if I knew that, then this might have been a harder interview to get. But the secret, I think, is to be yourself. That's what I keep hearing from anybody who is legitimately a famous rapper by anybody's analysis. And that's what I keep realizing myself. I literally get the most responses when I worry the least about how it should be and just do the most what I actually want to hear, which even sometimes means letting go of rap as rap. You know what I mean? Just actually speak my soul, like just be me. Because sometimes people hear my stuff and it's like, oh, he kind of like does this like spoken word. They don't even think of it as rap because my style's kind of different, sort of like yours too. You know what I mean? But like when I got over that and I was like, that's fine. I don't care what you call it. I think that's the key. And I think also hip hop reflects that now because hip hop is getting more and more pluralistic in its expression. So
100%. That's a good answer. Cool. So Nathan, thank you so much for talking with me.
My pleasure.
I want to give you just a minute, whatever you want to say to the people that are out there listening.
Well, I will tell you this. I have appreciated hanging out with you, David. Check out David's music if you haven't already, and then also check out mine. You can find all of the things that I create, like I said, under the name Nathanology on Instagram and stuff like that. It's at Nathan_ology. On YouTube, it's just Nathanology. And you'll find my stuff by searching that. And I hope when you find it that it gives you some joy. And I also hope that you reach out when you do, if it does give you joy. Send me a message or something like that. And give me a suggestion of something that you want there to be discourse about, or we can have a conversation in another form.
Cool. And if people have suggestions for words you should use, is there a good place for that?
Yeah. Just hit me up on Instagram. So at Nathan_ology.
Okay, awesome. Well,
Cool.
Nathan, thank you so much. This was a pleasure. And I look forward to seeing all that you do in 2021. I'm very excited about it. I think you're going to crush it. So can't wait for it.
Appreciate that. And mark my words, next time we Zoom together, we're going to rap back and forth. We'll have a beat. We'll figure it out. And we'll cipher a bit.
Let's do it. We can cipher on Discord
okay,
tomorrow
let's
night
do
if
that.
you want. Are you free at 10 p.m. tomorrow?
You know what? I will put it into the calendar, and I will also tell Hilla about it. I'll invite Hilla.
Sweet.
Cool. Right on. All right.
All right. Thanks, Nathan. Bye.
All right. Thanks, David. See you later.
Focus on love. Love what's in focus. Aim for above because the ceiling's bogus. Focus on love. Love what's in focus. Aim for above because the ceiling is bogus. Focus on love. Love what's in focus. Aim for above because the ceiling's bogus. Focus on love. Love what's in focus. Aim for above because the ceiling is bogus. I wanna lay down a never-ending road. We never go to